Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Not really. We're not really focused on that. We're focused on our game plan. I mean, I leave that up to Coach B. I'll let him stress out over that. At the end of the day, it's just football for us. We're actually going to run or throw it. Down like that. It makes it pretty simple.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network on a Wednesday night. Hump Day night here in South Carolina. Sports Talk on the road. We are back in Charleston. We have crossed the state once again from the upstate and the mountains up at North Greenville back down to the coast here at the Citadel, the military college of South Carolina, where the Bulldogs are hard at work. I watched them a little bit this afternoon, hard at work, getting ready for the upcoming season with a brand new head coach in Brent Thompson, and coming off a fabulous season last year in which the Bulldogs made the FCS playoffs, earned a share of the Southern Conference Championship. So they're very excited about what they did last year, and they're looking for more of the same here in 2016. Looking forward to having Coach Thompson with us here. He'll be here around 6:45, and then we'll have the players with us a little bit after 7 o'clock. USC and Clemson today, and no media availability for either one today, but we do have some Gamecock and Tiger stuff for you coming up tonight. USC cornerback Rashad Fenton, who's also an excellent kick returner. We'll hear from him, and from the Tigers, maybe their leader on defense, or one of them, certainly in the secondary, senior cornerback Cordray Tankersley. We'll hear from him as well. We have a football preview tonight from Carson also, so we'll have that for you later on in the program. And Panthers coach Ron Rivera, we'll hear from him tonight as the host New England in their third preseason game on Friday night in Charlotte. Phone number 800-956-7266. Love to hear from you for a few minutes tonight if you'd like to join in. 800-956-7266 is the number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com, and on Twitter, the address is @sportstalksc. Whatever's on your mind tonight, primarily about college football, of course. We're all into that now with the season quickly approaching in many areas. And, of course, here in South Carolina, we've got Charleston Southern going to kick things off for everybody in the state on Saturday on ESPN, playing at North Dakota State, the five-time defending national champions. Here at the Citadel, though, the hope for this season is running very, very high. Most of the staff that was here last year did not go to James Madison with Mike Houston. So that's good for Brent Thompson as he makes the transition from offensive coordinator to head coach. The offense remains the same thing that they ran last year, same thing that they have run over the years in his organization. The triple option, of course, they were so good at Lenore-Ryan, and they were extremely good last season with the Citadel running the same thing, and they hope to continue that this year. One thing that made the Citadel very special last year was their defense. The Bulldogs led the nation in FCS in it's like 30 turnovers last season. So if they action on the defensive side again this year, they'll be extremely tough. Their offense, is going to be good. They have some terrific running backs return. They can just flat out run the football in their offensive formation. They are very difficult to defend. They are committed to it. And as a defense, you don't get to see it a whole lot. It's hard to prepare for. And that's why a school like the Citadel that realizes it's somewhat limited in the pool of athletes that it can recruit, that's why running the triple option is so valuable to them. So we'll talk more with the folks here at the Citadel about that coming up in just a little bit. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. you can email us, talkback@sportstalksc.com, and on Twitter, @SportsTalkSC is how you can reach us tonight. If you lose us later on this evening for whatever reason, make sure you stay with us via our website, SportsTalkSC.com. We have the video feed at the bottom of the page. We also have an audio feed on the page for you as well. If you miss a show, you want to catch up on a show, go to our Sports Talk channel on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and do the Sports Talk SC search, and that'll take you to our YouTube channel. You can pick up on any show that you might have missed. And, of course, if you lose us from your regular station, you can find us on iHeartRadio, our Myrtle Beach station, our Greenville station, on iHeartRadio, and also on the TuneIn app. Our Columbia affiliate and several others are available there. So should you lose us for whatever reason, there's plenty of ways to stay with us here on Sports Talk tonight and every night. Now some news notes to pass along to you tonight to get things rolling. Will Muschamp was the guest speaker today at the Columbia Touchdown Club kickoff meeting. And reading a report here from the state newspaper, GoGamecocks.com, the Gamecocks head coach did not say anything more about a possible starting quarterback for the Vanderbilt game. He said that they can win games in the SEC with any of the three. He believes that, Muschamp said. So the competition between Orth, McElwain, and Bentley will continue. He believes, Muschamp said, that they will get productive play from the quarterback position. And again, he won't name a starting quarterback until the Vanderbilt game, sometime before kickoff. Or he might not even name. He might just, keep it to himself, and then whoever runs out is going to be the starter. Muschamp said he expects to only redshirt 5 to 8 of the true freshmen. He believes they hit on the freshman class. He said cornerbacks Rashad Fenton, Chris Lamons, and Jamarcus King can play the style of defense that they want to play. He said after that, they're thin. So that means the Gamecocks may be forced to play more coverage than Muschamp would like in case one of those three is not available. This story written by Josh Kendall, so that's Josh's take on that. Recruiting-wise, Muschamp said that he wants to recruit South Carolina first, but not exclusively. He says there's good players in the state, just not enough. Gamecocks did not practice today, and he considered, Muschamp did, yesterday's practice the final of preseason camp. 22 practices in camp time. He said very rarely did they step on the field and have a bad day. He said he always wants to get recruits to a camp on campus so he can see them on the field and they can see him and his coaching staff on the field. Muschamp said, quote, "I'm into coaching and not coddling. If they don't want hard coaching, they don't need to come here." End of that quote. He said freshman tight ends, Robert Tucker, Evan Henson, may not see much action this year because of the depth of that position. He said A.J. Turner remains the number one tailback, and they're going to have to be creative in the run game. He said Taylor Stallworth had a great camp, and Marquavius Lewis had a good camp. And he also said, this is interesting, Muschamp said the Gamecocks had 1,500 snaps of 11-on-11 full contact work in their first 22 practices. All right, let that sink in for a second. 1,500 snaps, 11-on-11 full contact work in their first 22. He said, quote, "We had a really physical camp." He also said the quarterbacks will play from under center and from the shotgun this year. Also from USC, the charges against USC punter Sean Kelly, one of those were dropped against him. The other resolved. His lawyer, Neil Lurie, attorney to the Columbia Stars, said that today. Kelly was arrested back on August 12th, charged with public disorderly conduct and malicious injury to property and trespass upon real property. And the charge of malicious injury to property was dropped, according to Lurie. Back in a moment. We are back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour. Tonight at the Citadel. And we're brought to you by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. 800-956-7266. The number. Want to join us on the program, jump on board. We'll work you in here before the Citadel guys get here, starting at 6:45 with Coach Brent Thompson. A couple of players coming in at 7:06. 800-956-7266 is the number. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com, on Twitter at sportstalksc, and streaming on our website, sportstalksc.com. So check it out. A couple of other things to mention to you. That was it from Muschamp as far as his conversation today with Josh Kendall after the Columbia Touchdown Club. Oh, back to Sean Kelly, just to finish that story. The charge of malicious injury, that was dropped. On the disorderly charge, Kelly applied for pretrial, according to Lurie. And he said in a statement that this, puts the ordeal behind him, and he focuses now on academics and football. Kelly released a statement, quote, "I'm extremely sorry for my behavior. I know that I will have to work hard to regain the trust of my coaches, teammates, and Gamecock Nation. I am committed to the task." So, and Will Muschamp had already said that Kelly was not going to miss any time. So pretty obviously this was not in the eyes of the coach and Ray Tanner, this was not a real serious situation at all. And any punishment within the program was handled internally. Let's see. What else did I want to mention to you? Oh, yeah, our buddy Pete Iacobelli from the AP. He's been very busy being the media police on Clemson and USC. Last night we had the infractions report, the NCAA infractions report on the Gamecocks. Later in the evening, the Clemson report came out. 15 violations to the NCAA Clemson reported in the past year. The school releasing the report after Pete's request for an open records thing. None of the violations at Clemson considered serious, all of them classified as level 3. Those are the minor things. I mean, listen to this stuff. 3 of the violations in the football program. 1 came from an accidental FaceTime call placed by Dabo Swinney to a prospect before the allowable date of September 1. So as a result, the punishment on Clemson, their coaches cannot call this prospect from September 1 to September 15. Meantime, the North Carolina football program and athletic department remains unpunished by the NCAA for fake classes and fake diplomas. Another violation in football came last October. Involved 2 players who dropped engineering courses and were not enrolled full-time as required. Clemson declared both players ineligible, conducted rules education with all athletes, and paid a $500 fine. The NCAA restored the 2 athletes' eligibility. In the meantime, the North Carolina football program remains free on bail from the NCAA with no punishment for fake classes and fake diplomas. The final football infraction came this past January when the staff gave excess travel. Now, this is the one where you just want to take your right hand, form a fist, and punch yourself in the face over the stupidity of the NCAA. This infraction, the Clemson staff gave excess travel reimbursement to several prospects after their official visits. Now, you're thinking what? Hundreds? Thousands of dollars? No. The school said the staff wrongly thought it could round up the travel reimbursement amount to the nearest dollar. So we're talking maybe pennies, maybe 20, I don't know, 30 cents, 40 cents, 20 cents to the nearest dollar.
You need a pack of gum, Corn?
Unbelievable. The staffer involved received a letter of admonishment, although the school said it did not try to collect the overpay from prospects because of the minimal amount of the over award. In the meantime, the North Carolina football program has not been punished for fake classes and fake diplomas gained by former football players and attended by former football players. Also, the baseball program had 3 violations under Monty Lee. He was admonished for an infraction from last September when he responded to a text from a 2018 prospect before September 1 of the player's junior year of high school. He thought the prospect was set to graduate in 2017. When informed, he stopped all communication with the prospect, reported it to the compliance office. He and his staff must refrain from communicating with the player for 2 weeks starting September 1. And last August, an assistant coach on the Clemson men's golf team impermissibly brought in an outside consultant to work with 2 players on the course and teach a 3-session with the whole team. 2 players on the course and teach a 3-session with the whole team. Oh, I got it. I guess 3-session. Don't know what that means. The men's golf team was made to take 3 days off from all countable athletic activity for 3 weeks. They had to take 3 days off from playing golf. I guess if you're a golfer, that's a terrible punishment. I mean, how silly. Now, you know what? I will say this. The deadlines for contacting recruits, I'm all in favor of that. Now, I'm in favor, you shouldn't be allowed. There should be, start dates for when you can contact a prospect. And when you accidentally do that, I get that, okay? But, some of this other stuff is just ridiculous. Meantime, the North Carolina football program goes unpunished and likely will go unpunished, as will the men's basketball program. That, my friends, when that comes out, when they finally get around to resolving that will be one, college football fans across the nation and basketball fans, college fans in general across the nation, football, basketball, whatever the case may be, they should raise such an uproar and a stink that the NCAA would think Indianapolis is suffering an earthquake, because if things happen the way they are expected to, and Roy Williams has been very public and has told recruits, hey, we're not getting hit. Our lawyers have told us we're clear and free. Larry Fedora pretty much saying the same thing. It's poor Sylvia Hatchell. Her program is the one that's going to get hammered, and she has said, wait a minute, I'm not taking the fall for all this. And you can go back and see the reports where football, men's basketball, all involved in those classes, leading to degrees and eligibility. That's the thing, eligibility to play while taking bogus classes. And the NCAA is just going to let them slide. I mean, they're going to let them slide. Yet Clemson, of course, it's a minor thing, but it's the point of the matter. You penalize a school publicly because it becomes public. It goes on their record because they rounded up to the nearest dollar paying travel reimbursement money. I mean, give me a flipping break. All right, what else we have for you here? Speaking of money, the State Physical Accountability Authority approved $31.8 million for the expansion of Coastal's football stadium. Apparently, it was contentious. A 3-2 vote clears the way for Coastal to go forward. This after the State Commission on Higher Education repeated the expansion of Brooks Stadium, citing the potential increases to student fees. Apparently, Nikki Haley, the governor, who's a Clemson fan, is not in favor of Coastal Carolina getting this money because she doesn't know how they're going to pay it back. Well, they got a coach who could pay it back if you just ask, but I don't know that he can do that because of the rules. But anyway, Coastal's going to get the money from the state to start expanding their stadium. We'll be at Coastal tomorrow. Back in a moment. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornblut at the Citadel. We're up here in the football office area. We are in, I think it's pronounced Saguinas Hall. Obviously, Citadel people know the name of it. I may be butchering the name. Saguinas Hall. Really done a nice job refurbishing this particular area. We've done our show from here for many, many years, and it's really pretty, really nice in here. Got a real good Citadel feel to it, Citadel football flavor to it. I'm looking forward to having Coach Brent Thompson with us here in just a little bit as we continue the Palmetto Pigskin Tour, counting it down. We've only got 3 more tour stops to go, and we will have completed the 10-school stop, excluding USC and Clemson, of course. We hit up Coastal Carolina tomorrow. Then on Monday, it's Wofford, and on Tuesday, wrap it up at Limestone. Then off to Nashville for USC and Vanderbilt. Speaking of the Gamecocks, they wrapped up their camp yesterday. No practice today. They'll begin full practice towards Vandy tomorrow, 1 week from game time, which is the appropriate time for them to start everything up on the proper calendar. They are hoping that they'll be better on defense, especially on the back end, especially at corner, with guys like Rashad Fenton, now a year older. And Fenton, who has had a very good camp, is a guy that Will Muschamp is counting on to help shore up their coverage in the secondary. After practice yesterday, Fenton came over to talk with the media about camp to this point, the progress of the secondary, returning kicks, and more. Here he is, Rashad Fenton.
The new defensive system, I mean, when did it start to click with you guys? Like, what are you trying to play much faster, composed to just thinking about it?
Officially, I think it started in the spring with the new coaches coming in, the new schemes. The spring, we was making a lot more plays. You know, the quarterbacks, they was kind of fresh, wanted to show out, and they was really throwing the ball more, and it gave us more opportunities to, you know, get more plays, more interceptions, more fumbles. I felt like during the spring, that was when we really realized that this new scheme is really going to be something to mess with.
And how has it improved since then? Because obviously offense is one of those things that's going to be a little slow in the spring. They got to catch on. I mean, where does it look like right now?
Right now, you know, like you said, they did catch up with it, but it's just improving us because, you know, they're finding more ways to beat us and beat our coverages, and, you know, that's going to improve us because certain teams are going to do the same thing, and we already experienced it, already ran through that in practice. So I feel like in the game we're going to be moving at a faster pace.
How well do you think you guys have adapted to the press coverage, the bumping that they require in their defensive scheme?
Coach T-Rob and Muschamp, they require, and like during our individual drills, we really work on bump and run a lot. So I feel like every day, you know, we repping the same bump and run, even though it's individuals, it can transfer into the game. And I feel like we're going to be doing very well in the bump and run this year.
How about the recovery part of that, though, after the bump and the receiver's running and you got to get back with him? Yeah,
we work the in-phase and out-of-phase drill, too, after the bump and run, you know, just looking, leaning, and just finding the ball when you do that.
He likes to say that, you know, maybe you're their best cover corner. Do you feel like that out there?
Sometimes I do. You know, I don't want to get too boastful, but, you know, I do work, and I just very confident in myself and what I do.
How big a deal is confidence at cornerback?
I think that might be number one thing because, you know, like you said, you're going to be on the island sometimes doing a bump and run. If you don't have no confidence in the receivers, you know, beating you, you have no confidence, then it's not going to be very well for you on that island. It's not going to be very well for you.
That kick return last year by you really sort of introduced you to everybody, right? I mean, do you think about that moment and believe you can, you know, continue that sort of production in that area of the game?
Yeah, honestly, I really wasn't expecting that. Spurrier told me to get in the second kick return of the game, and it just happened. I can't even describe it, but it was a good feeling. Like you said, it did get my name out there, and I'm sure if it just happened spontaneously like that, I'm sure it will happen again in these couple of years, even this year.
As a group, in evaluating the secondary, you know, compared to last year where there was a lot of soft coverage and underneath completions, how would you describe the difference overall?
I say last year's defense was more of a conservative defense, just trying to stop them from doing certain plays. I feel like this year is more aggressive, and coach is trusting the DBs more to do bump and run or switching up coverages to be more aggressive and play the ball more also, which is going to be very good. You know, you got to have confidence in us for us to have confidence in you to make plays. So I think this year is going to be way better.
So you might take away the shorter plays, but are you giving up the big balls down the field?
No, our defense is to stop the deep throws. We don't, we have a little thing where we don't cover the short areas. We just come up and make the tackle. So we prevent the deep and coming to make the tackles on the short.
Are you a trash talker out there?
Nah, I hush my mouth. If somebody get me started, then we're just going to let the actions on the field speak.
Are you guys confident about going to Vanderbilt and getting a win?
Yes, we're very confident. We ain't going to bring up last year. That was a whole different team, whole different coaches. But, I feel like this year we worked hard, way harder than we did last year. So, we're just going to go to the field and just let that speak for itself.
What's your biggest concern about Vanderbilt?
I'm not really worried about them. I'm just worried about getting better here.
Are you eager to start working on them just so you can have something different from practice?
Yeah, I just want to, get my quick advantages on them. I'm sure Muschamp and T-Rod will have a couple things for us so we can improve our game on them. I kind of am eager to it. I'm looking forward to my first start.
At SEC Media Days, their guys were predicting a win over you guys.
Yeah, I'm not really too worried about them. They're worrying about the wrong things. We over here worrying about getting better. We'll see them September 1st.
Live.
Okay, Rashad Fenton of South Carolina, the cornerback, and hoping that the Gamecocks can play a little bit better in pass coverage. Looking at the numbers from last year, the Gamecocks gave up 212 passing yards per game. They had a dozen interceptions throughout the defense. Now, those linebackers, remember, were pretty good at snaring passes too, and that helped with that number. As far as the completion percentage against them, that's what I was trying to locate that here somewhere else. Got to be here somewhere. Where are the quarterbacks? Quarterbacks. Give me quarterbacks. There we go. So opponents completed. See, this is where they got to improve a heck of a lot. Opponents completed 66%. Okay. 347 attempts, 228 completions with the 12 picks and 15 touchdowns. A lot of that was the underneath stuff. And, of course, you remember in the Georgia game, they just got annihilated by the quarterback that particular day, just completing pass after pass after pass. So, they have got to they got to cut that by a good – what would you think is a good number, Jarmart, for completion percentage allowed where you feel like your defense has done a good job? About 40%. If you can hold teams to 40% or less completion percentage, you feel like you've done a nice job?
I think 40% is a pretty good one. That's 4 out of 10. That's not making any QB look good at 40%. So that's a good level to work for, and maybe trying to bring that down even more.
Yeah. So they've got to shave 25 percentage points off from the previous year. So they got a lot of work ahead of them.
That's a heck
in
of
that
a razor
category.
to do that.
Absolutely. But, it's a different strategy. And, of course, we all know the old saying, the best pass coverage is a great pass rush. And they didn't have a real good pass rush last year. Quarterbacks were very comfortable back there too many times. A combination of soft coverage and not much of a pass rush, and that's what you get, 65% completion percentage against you. All right, let me drop in a couple of recruiting notes, and then Coach Brent Thompson is going to be here. Update wide receiver Ortre Smith from Wando. Checking with a source on him today who tells us that Smith will announce his college decision, as we know, on September 11th. It's going to be in the afternoon. He and the family are in the process of lining up the location and other details, but the plan is to have the announcement in front of some family friend 3 o'clock in Mount Pleasant that day. The announcement will be streamed live on the internet. Source said that Smith remains undecided at this point, but is focusing on just 4 schools right now: USC, Clemson, North Carolina, and Georgia. Florida had also been on the list, but again, it's the other 4. Ultimately expected to make the decision between the Gamecocks and the Tigers. Mother played volleyball at Clemson. He's long been a Clemson fan, and the family is strong Clemson people, but Will Muschamp has made him a major recruiting priority and has recruited him relentlessly since taking over the program. We'll be right back here at the Citadel. Coach Brent Thompson coming up. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornblut on the road in Charleston. The Palmetto Pigskin Tour rolls along with the Bulldogs, and we welcome in first-year head coach Brent Thompson to Sports Talk. Great to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, great to see you too, Phil.
Appreciate you coming over. Does that sound a little weird to you? First-year head coach? I mean, certainly when you came here 2 years ago with Mike Houston, you could not have expected to be first-year head coach so soon.
No, definitely not after 2 years. It was definitely a surprise, but, sometimes you got to be ready to step up to something like that when that happens. So it was a great opportunity for us, and we had really just a change at the head. Really, everybody else kind of stayed the same. So It really has been a smooth transition. The guys have taken to it. Even, you know all the players here. You know what they can do. You know all the coaching staff here. You know how the system works here. So it's been a fairly smooth transition. It's been a lot of fun.
When Mike told you guys, hey, I got this call, I'm thinking, I may be leaning, what was your reaction? What did you say to him?
I told him, and we had this conversation. I said, Mike, at some point, I understand if you're going to probably get away from this offense and, we may have to part ways or, he said, Brent, I don't necessarily want to part ways with you. I'd love to have you around and, and I love you being around. I said, we'll make that decision as we go here. So, when it came down to it and he had an opportunity to go, I said, you know what, Coach? I said, I'd probably like to stay. I like it here. My wife likes it here. I love this offense. I love this staff. These players have really bought into what we were doing, and we certainly didn't expect this thing to get turned around in 2 years. So, when it went down there, I said, I'd really like to stay. And he said, you know what, Coach, I appreciate that, and I'm going to support you in any way that I can. I'm going to help you out any way that I can, and that's exactly what he did. So he was extremely supportive of us, and really, I've got a lot of great things to say. I mean, we had a great run together, and someday we may be back together. But
sure.
For now, he's doing a good job, and he'll do a great job up there at James Madison. And we've got our work cut out for us down here.
Well, maybe you'll hire him back as your running backs coach or something one day, huh?
That'd be great.
If it comes to that, because you ain't going anywhere, right?
No, sir.
You're here for the long haul.
No, sir.
So the offense started at Lenore-Ryan, I guess, and you brought it here. But who is it? You did you design the offense? He designed. Did you design it together? How did that come about?
Really, when I was hired at Lenore-Ryan, Coach Houston was actually the defensive coordinator, and I was the offensive coordinator.
Okay.
For Fred Goldsmith, which was I think by far probably the biggest change in my career, was having to work for a guy that had been national coach of the year. He had taken Duke to a bowl game before Coach Cutcliffe. He was the last guy to do it.
Yeah.
So working for Coach Goldsmith really opened my eyes up to just a whole new way of coaching, and it was awesome. It was just great to work with him. I worked with him for about a year and a half, and then Coach Houston took over, and we did a lot of the same things, and Coach has a lot of the same thoughts and ideas. So it was a smooth transition then at Lenore-Ryan, and he just said, hey, just do your thing over there, and he kind of left me alone to run the offense, which was what I needed at that time in my career. I just needed to try to, what's going to be our identity, how we're going to go about this thing. And we grew up as an offensive staff, and really the same staff that was there at Lenore-Ryan is here today, doing, very similar stuff. And we've kind of grown together as an offensive staff. And then, the defense came together as well on their side of the ball at Lenore-Ryan, and they came down here doing the same thing there.
So here at the Citadel, Mike lets you run the offense, call the plays, all that deal. So that won't change, right? As the head coach, you're going to continue to do the same thing?
Yes, Phil. It's kind of what got us here. And as of right now, eventually I'll probably hand it over to Coach Conte, and when he's comfortable and I'm comfortable. But for now, it's going to continue in my hands, play calling.
When last season did you guys start to feel things come together and kind of feel like, hey, we got a chance to have a pretty good team and a pretty good run here?
I thought after the Wofford win was the turning point of this. We were 2-2 going into the Wofford game. We had a bye week, and we could have easily just, gone about trying to figure out a way to get to 5 or 6 or just do a little bit better than we did the year before and show progress. But we had a good showing against Wofford, and I think our kids came out believing that they can beat those guys, which had been a tough feat for us. We hadn't beaten them in 16 years. Once we got over that hurdle and we got that monkey off our back, I think things just started to click and run together. Certainly we had a good one against Furman and Sanford, and we just kind of rolled from there all the way into the Chattanooga game, which I thought was going to be tough for our kids after we lost that Chattanooga game. And we traveled all the way up there. We put everything we had into. We treated it as the SoCon championship game,
and which it turned out to be.
Right, and we had a great fight up there, and unfortunately we ended up losing by a touchdown up there. And we traveled home, and I was exhausted, and the kids were exhausted. but they had such resolve to come back in that South Carolina game that I didn't even know if we had it in us until about that second play from scrimmage where we take it all away.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, these guys have got a lot in us. We're going to try to win this game.
How much has your school, and of course you went on after South Carolina, you beat Coastal in the playoffs, and then you lost to Charleston Southern in a very close ball game. But, how much has this program in-state benefited from beating the Gamecocks?
Well, every high school we walked into, we had instant recognition. It was, we kind of put us in not only in this state, in the state of Georgia, and the state of Florida. We were more of a recognizable name at that point, which is always good. You don't ever have to explain who you are, or what you are, or what you're all about, which is always great when you're walking into these places. And it certainly helped us in recruiting. We've got it on we've got the film over here. We've got it on TV. We replayed it a couple of times. It's on our highlight film.
A couple of times.
It's we've gotten a lot of mileage out of it, which it's been good for us. But certainly we've got to move on from that game as well, and put that in as a great part of our past, just as it was 25 years ago for those guys.
Yeah.
But we've got to continue moving forward and developing this program and being sustainable.
All right, we've got about 3 minutes left with you. Actually, a couple of minutes, 2 minutes. Quickly, give me the synopsis of the offense. Your starting quarterback's going to be out the first game, but you got him back and ready to roll. How good have you looked offensively, defensively in camp?
We started off looking really, really good on defense because we've got a lot of our older players on defense. We're experienced in the secondary. Those guys are playing fast. I really am impressed with the way that those guys are getting off the football right now. I really like the way that our defense is playing. Our offense has been a little bit slow to develop, not only because our quarterback was new, but I think he's coming along terrific. We've also had to plug in some younger guys on our offensive line. We're a little bit thin on the offensive line, but as far as our B-back's concerned, our A-back's concerned, those guys can get us through it. So I thought today we had a great practice out there. I thought we moved around fairly well. We're getting our legs back. It was such a hot camp that it was hard to really take a pulse or judge really where you were. We were just trying to fight through the adversity of the heat. And once you did that and you got through some of that and you got through camp, I think we got our legs back underneath us, and we're really starting to see what kind of football club we got right now. Any
desire, any need to throw the ball maybe a little bit more, 74 yards a game last year? Is that necessary to improve?
There's, if there's any, and I tell this to all of our alums, if there's any room for improvement in our offense, it's certainly in the passing game. And we always look for different ways, but we want to do it, A, on our own terms, and B, we want to do it with our play action game, because that's the one that's going to help us out the most.
Yeah.
If we're going to think that we're going to be all of a sudden a 5-step drop team and sit back there and read the field, that's not going to be us. So we're always constantly looking at other teams, and I think the Naval Academy's done a good job of not only in developing this offense, but developing the play action game. They've done a great job of developing a play action game. So when Dom comes back, we'll do a little bit more in the passing game. And when I think Jordan's done a great job of getting better at the passing game, which we had to kind of start from square one with him. But Dom certainly's got more of a feel for the rest of the offense where he can develop his passing game, which I think will help us.
And he had a hand or a finger injury?
Yep, finger.
Yeah, he's okay though.
Yep.
After the first game, he'll be back.
He should be good.
Thursday night, a week from tomorrow, against Mercer over in Macon. You get to see Bobby Lamb and that crew. Real quick, what do you think of Mercer from what you saw?
I tell you what, they're tough because they don't hurt themselves. They're a very disciplined football club. They're very fundamental. Last year they played us the last 2 years very tight, and we had 6 penalties and we had 2 turnovers, which was we can't do that and win football games. We've got to play a lot like them. They're a physical run team and they're good on defense. Very, very similar style of play, different offenses obviously, but we've got to be on top of our game in order to beat those guys. That's for sure.
Best of luck to you. Looking forward to a great run by the Bulldogs again this year, both literally and literally. Run the ball and have a great run. And best of luck to you. First time out as a head coach. I know it's special, and we'll be talking to you throughout the season.
All right. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for coming out.
You got it, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Brent Thompson, head coach of the Citadel Bulldogs, with us here on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour at the Citadel. We'll be back. Got a couple of Bulldog players who will be joining us in hour number 2 as well. Don't go away. More sports talk right around the corner here, South Carolina Radio Network.
from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
And we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornbluth here at the Citadel. The Palmetto Pigskin Tour continues. We just had Coach Brent Thompson with us a couple of minutes ago, and now we are joined by a couple of the outstanding Bulldog players, senior linebacker Joe Crochet from Atlanta and junior running back Cam Jackson from Mobile, Alabama. Great having the two guys with us here just a few minutes removed from practice. Joe?
Yes, sir.
How's it going?
It's going well.
Good practice today?
We did. We had a great practice. According to Coach Thompson, it was good enough to get out of conditioning.
Oh, there you go. What did you do well? What did the defense do well today?
Just, doing our assignments, playing our position, and running to the ball. And we're ready for Thursday. We're just ready to get after it.
Because you sense something special about this team?
Yeah. 3 weeks of camp, kind of you're as prepared as you possibly could be. So, I think really we're just ready to get after it against another opponent.
Yeah. What about the defense? Where do you see the greatest areas of improvement from last year?
Well, last year we had Mitchell Jeter, of course, all Southern Conference Defensive Player of the Year. And really the biggest improvement is the younger guys stepping up and fulfilling the roles that needed to be filled. So I'd say that aspect of the defense.
You guys were real ball hawks last year.
Yes, sir.
Do you think you'll create as much turmoil defensively on offenses this year, turning the ball over?
That's our plan. That's our game plan. 11 guys running to the ball in a bad attitude, so that's the way we like to do it.
Cam, do they play with a bad attitude?
Oh, yeah. Every day when we have to go against the defense, man, we know it's gun check time.
But does that – the offense, with the offense you guys run, you guys play with a nasty attitude, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Starting off with our O-line, the big nasties, they got to get after it. Coach Boyd's killing them down there on the sleds. Our A-backs, we're, out there blocking just as much as they are.
Yeah. You obviously, as a running back, you have to love this offense because you guys, run it 90% of the time, though they would like to throw it maybe a little more with a little more efficiency. But in terms of the running game in camp and being as good as you were last year, do you see a favorable comparison?
Oh, yeah. We're running a lot more, have to get the young guys, in shape, get them caught up to speed with the game speed and all of that. But as far as, running this offense, we all love it. We play for each other out there.
You had 751 yards last year on 91 carries. But in your offense, of course, Renew got 162 carries, but it's spread out. And I guess it just depends. A lot of times a play is called, but the quarterback makes a decision who's going to get the football. Oh, yeah. And our triple option, all the decisions are made by the quarterback. If he sees something he likes, he's going to give it, or he'll pull it and keep it himself. Or, if we're out there open, he'll pitch it out to us and we'll do the rest of the work. What do you like the most? You like the straight handoff, or do you prefer taking it on the corner and getting a pitch? Oh, yeah, I prefer getting that pitch and being out in open space. And then what happens? Hey, make somebody miss, take it to the crib.
I like it.
What's your 40 speed?
Low 4.5.
Mm-hmm. Fast enough? Yes, sir. Fast enough. What was your best run last year? I'll have to say the second play of the game against South Carolina. Was that you? Yeah, that was me. Tell me about the play. I can't remember the first play, but I know I remember getting the ball, and coach saw something, called the next play, got it out there. Our former A-back, Vinny Miller, had a great block on the safety, and was off to the races. Was it 69 yards? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And that kind of set the tone for you guys, right? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Joe, as a senior.
That's right.
And a guy that graduated here in 3 years. How'd you do that?
20 hours a semester, 6 every summer. So just get after it.
Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. Did you come here thinking I want to get through college as far as the academic side as quickly as possible?
So my I guess, my official visit, I had a gentleman by the name of Austin Boyle. And he graduated in 3.5 and was getting his MBA, doing the 5th-year route. And he kind of inspired me to attack that kind of academic load when I got there. So,
So how do you do that? 20 hours a week. 20 hours a semester, football, the military side of it, and get it done in 3 years. How do you do that?
It's not easy. A lot of it had to do with support from family and friends, and staying determined and writing goals every semester, academically, athletically, and knocking away at it.
Yeah, you did that. Now I wanted to ask you too, as a senior, let's face it, Citadel doesn't beat South Carolina very often, so you get to leave here with a Gamecock scalp on your belt, something that hadn't been done for 25 years. So for you, graduating, knowing you got that kind of win, what does that mean to you in your life moving forward?
Oh, it's very special. That game was the most exciting game I ever played in my life. And the funny thing is, my buddy from high school, TJ Holloman, is a starting middle linebacker for South Carolina.
Yes.
And to have that over him for the rest of my life is, that's great. Can't beat that.
He's a good kid and a good player.
Oh, he is.
Yeah. Let me ask you, as a defensive player, on that next to last play, I think it was, when it looked like they had scored.
Okay.
Yeah. What were you thinking? Did you know right away? Did y'all slow down on defense? Did you know something was amiss as that play was unfolding?
Definitely. You heard the whistles on the field, and I don't think Nick Willis did us justice by, continuing to play on while everybody else stopped. But we all heard the whistles, definitely.
Yeah. And so you knew there was an infraction from the beginning.
Yes, sir.
Of that play. All right. Cam, a great year for you guys last year. You make the playoffs. You get a piece of the Southern Conference Championship. Does this team have the makings of a repeat performance?
Oh, yeah. The coaches Coach Thompson comes in over Coach Houston, and he's doing a fantastic job of, continuing on what Coach Houston's preached to us. And the seniors are handling it well, being great leaders out there, and we're getting the young guys caught up to speed and just going to do what we did again last year.
What was your reaction when you heard that Coach Houston was leaving?
Well, they caught everybody off. It caught everybody by surprise, of course, but he told us the situation, and we're all still supporting him.
Sure.
At James Madison, and we knew we were going to have a coach, from this staff to come aboard, and just glad to have Coach Thompson.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. This is Coach Thompson's offense. So, from an offensive perspective, how relieved were you when you heard he was going to be the head guy?
Well, we also had Coach Drayton, to the former defensive coordinator. And, it was like 50-50.
Okay.
Either or would have been a great choice. But, having Coach Thompson having his edge showing off to the whole team, we knew it was going to take some getting used to for the defensive guys, but the offensive guys already knew what was up.
Yeah, nothing's changed on offense, has it?
No, sir.
Everything's still the same. Joe, what about defensively? Have there been any changes over there with the changeover? What little bit of changeover there was on the staff?
Not really. Just titles on, our linebacker coach is now the D coordinator, but same mentality, same scheme. We're just going to get after it.
Yeah. Mercer is your opening opponent on the road a week from tomorrow night. A Southern Conference foe to open up the season. Joe, what about Mercer and your game prep for them from a defensive standpoint? What do you guys have to do well?
Definitely got to stop the run and put them off schedule, because if they, they're on their own schedule and keep attacking it with the power sweeps or the G power or whatever other offensive play they want to run, that's going to be difficult on our end. So we got to stop the run before we can start talking about sacks. And
how confident are you guys going into your season opener?
Well, first of all, we just got to take care of the football. Last year we had a couple of turnovers and kind of got them back on schedule to, come back on that. So main thing is take care of the football and just go get after them, play our style of offense, which is physical and aggressive.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Good luck this year. Hope you have a healthy season, get a lot of wins, and we see you in the postseason again here in 2016.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
okay. Sir. Joe Crochet and Cam Jackson from here at the Citadel. The Bulldogs with us here on Sports Talk. We'll be right back. Okay, back with you, Sports Talk from the Citadel tonight. Palmetto Pigskin Tour. Thanks again to Joe Crochet and Cam Jackson. I mean, come on, people. You have to admire a couple of kids like that here at the Citadel. Always feel a little something extra special for Citadel guys because, I mean, we know how tough college is, number one, academically. Number two, we know how tough college is for football players, academics and football. And number three, throw in the military requirement here at the Citadel, the marching and things of that nature. I don't think they'll mind me saying this. I won't go into details, but Joe's had to walk a few tours here at the Citadel, he told me. But Cam has not. Cam has not. Hey, Jarmart, do you know what a tour is here at the Citadel?
I was just wondering what a tour was.
Well, let me tell you, a tour is a punishment for violating the rules. And there's a big square in the barracks area. I don't know the actual square footage. It's just big. And a tour, one tour equals 1 hour of marching back and forth in that square area. So, like, if you get 20 tours, that's 20 hours of marching with your rifle on your shoulder back and forth.
That's a lot of marching.
And you learn how to march and carry a rifle. I told the guys I wouldn't have lasted 20 minutes at this place.
I don't know if I would have.
It takes a special person, but I also told them that I know a lot of Citadel grads, and to a man, they're successful and they're proper. They look you in the eye. They give you a good handshake. They're disciplined. They're well prepared, all that kind of stuff. Things that you learn here at the Citadel. I'm not saying everybody's a Citadel graduate to great success. I'm sure they've got their flunkies as well. But generally speaking, it seems like they've done a great job of producing fine people over the years, men and women now. And we thank the guys for being with us tonight here on Sports Talk. All right. If you want to join in on the program to comment on anything we've talked about thus far, 800-956-7266 is the number. We're about to round that corner towards game week. Well, as far as Charleston Southern is concerned, their game's coming up in a couple of nights. But everybody else next week, Citadel plays on Thursday, USC plays on Thursday, Furman plays on Friday. If I remember correctly, I think Presbyterian's playing on Thursday next week. A lot of games involving state teams next week on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday heading into a Labor Day weekend. Now, the Clemson football team, of course, getting ready for the Auburn Tigers. Big challenge for the Tigers of Clemson and the Tigers of Auburn, looking at things from the other sideline. This will be a test for both of these teams to open the season. And, of course, so the expectations are so high for Clemson. People are expecting the Clemson Tigers just to go into Auburn and slap the Auburn Tigers around. You know, Auburn's going to have a new quarterback. They going to have a new running back. They are going to be missing a couple of guys in their secondary. But as we've talked about throughout, it looks like they have a very good defensive front and good linebackers. And I think that could be a challenge to Clemson from that standpoint. Offensively, well, Clemson's offense is, if Auburn can slow down Clemson's offense to any degree, that's going to tell you that Kevin Steele's got a pretty good unit. But nobody's expecting Clemson's offense to be slowed down by anybody. Clemson's defense, I'm not saying it's something to be worried about, but with what's happening at defensive end, with Austin Bryant being out, having to move some people around, a little bit of youth there and experience, a little bit of youth in the secondary, maybe you got to be a little bit cautious about that unit in that opening game, and then in game 4, moving forward after they get past South Carolina State and Troy, then I believe it's Georgia Tech. So really the Auburn game is going to be one where we'll see how far that secondary has come. One thing we know is one corner is solid. That's Cordray Tankersley. The former Allendale Fairfax standout has just been a rock over there the last couple of years. Could have gone pro after last season, decided to come back for his senior season. And after practice the other day, he talked with the media about their defense and looking ahead to Auburn.
Those guys, they're getting better. Like I said, it's getting close to game time, and somebody has to step up. All of those guys are stepping up. The rotation is looking
really good. I think we throw either one of them in, and we'll be quite successful.
You were sort of critical of Mark for his approach and mentality and things like that in the spring. What have you seen from him, positive, negative, as he's come back here? And all
I think he's starting to learn to be himself. He's getting quite comfortable. He's not going out to talking. He's just going out there and just playing the game. Like I said, he's been more confident, and he's been Mark Fields like we all asked him to be.
What do you think were the keys for him to maybe figure it out, maybe where he wasn't at the spring, where he is right now?
He was just this highly recruited guy, so he just kind of had that high school mentality, So I guess he's just kind of on the same page as everybody else. And like I said, just learn to be himself. He knows the playbook now. He's more confident, and he's more physical than ever. So that's more probably.
What are you out there working with Trayvon on?
Trayvon?
Yeah.
We just hand work, just trying to work our hands, trying to be more physical, try to switch our games up from press, off coverage and stuff, just really work our hands and be aggressive. Really.
Any of the receivers standing out to you here?
Every single one of them, all of them. No drop-offs.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything specifically you want to work on the last couple weeks to fine-tune for the season?
I think I want to work more on my endurance with technique. Try not to drag when I'm exhausted, really tired. I got to be ready to play 80 to 90 snaps a game, so that's why I don't have that mentality of endurance.
You think that's where it starts, being a guy like McKenzie was last year? You saw him able to be out there all the time.
Yeah.
It's kind of preparing your mind to be able to take on that workload before physically you can do
So
it.
my mentality is I don't want to come off the field. So as long as I keep feeding my mind, you don't want to get off the field. It makes it more fun. You go out and make even more plays. Because eventually out of 90 plays, they're going to throw it your way sometimes, right?
What do you feel like the rest of the secondary is right now?
I feel we still developing. We still have a long way to go. We progressing each and every day. We just all need to learn how to get on the same page. But I think this group wants to be great. Like we come out with a competitive edge every single day. And I think it's just going to drive us in the long run.
Marcus in particular, how's he kind of been getting back in the flow of things?
Marcus been out since the fall. He don't want to try to do too much. Retweak his hamstring, so he's just kind of taking day by day, step by step. He's getting back in individual drills. He looks really good. Still has his speed. It's just a matter of knocking the rust off and getting the confidence to get back in the rotation.
Who kind of some other guys do you think maybe would fit in well at that other side of the field?
Like all of them already. And Mark, Ryan Carter, of course, Trayvon, whoever the coach feels like they're prepared to go out there.
Good competition.
We've been really good competition.
We hear Ryan's name in the mix there at cornerback. Do you see him as a cornerback? Do you see him as a safety, as a jack of all trades? Like, where would you like to see him play?
I'd love to see him at corner. He's a great safety. He's really good at safety. I'd love to see him compete at corner. That's where he's been busting his butt doing since he got here. He's very competitive. He plays bigger than what he is. And I think he's put forth the effort ever since the start of spring. He just want to be a great player, and I'm very proud. I'm excited for him this year.
So if he's behind you at safety, you're playing corner, you feel good about that?
Oh, yeah, I feel quite good because he knows what he's doing. I don't think he graded below a 95 over the screen when he was at safety. He had to come back to corner, of course, to do the injuries. But I mean, wherever you need him, he's going to get effort. He's going to do a good job. It's that experience that he has.
I'm here. The cornerback talking about the secondary in particular and what's happening throughout that unit. You've got Tackersley at the boundary corner. The field corner is still a bit up in the air. You heard him talking about Mark Fields. It sounds like here recently he has made a move and has looked better. Ryan Carter, Marcus Edmond, the freshman, Trayvon Mullen involved there. Safeties look like they'll be Jadar Johnson and Van Smith starting out and holding down those positions. More sports talk coming up. We're at the Citadel. We're also in Columbia. Back in a moment. We are Sports Talk, another SEC ACC preview. It's Pittsburgh. Carson Mason tells us more.
One season is in the books for Pitt head coach Pat Narduzzi, and it was a pretty successful start for the former Michigan State defensive coordinator. Last season, the Panthers finished 8-5 overall and won 6 of their first 7 games. However, they couldn't close out the season and suffered a 44-28 loss in the Military Bowl to Navy. This season, Pitt returns 18 starters with 8 apiece on offense. And of the returners, Narduzzi is mainly counting on his seniors to lead the way.
When you look at a year ago, we had 11 seniors, and this year we've got 20. I think we've got a great senior class. I think when you talk about a great football team, I think you have to have a great senior class. I think you have to have a class that has leadership skills, that's going to take the bull by the horn, or the panther by the ears, I guess, maybe, and try to get things done. But to me, you're only as good as your seniors play.
One of those guys is quarterback Nathan Peterman, who enrolled at Pitt in June 2015 as a graduate transfer from Tennessee. Last season, Peterman completed about 62% of his passes and threw for over 2,200 yards with 11 touchdowns. He'll be the undoubted starter for the Panthers and is slated to have some valuable protection around him, with veteran center Alex Officer and guard Dorian Johnson both returning to the O-line. Pitt has a lot of experience returning at vital positions, but Narduzzi believes success on the field ultimately comes down to
team chemistry. I think it all comes down to that. People say, hey, what kind of football team are you going to have? I think we've got enough talent to reach our goals, to do the things we want to do as a football team at the University of Pittsburgh. But it comes down to team chemistry, and that's all developed, when camp starts. I think our players have developed it. They went to Sandcastles. We had an event at our house. My wife, Donna, was kind enough to invite all these guys over. Half the pool was empty when they left from all the waves and splashing that they made. But, team chemistry is huge.
New offensive coordinator Matt Canada will have to get acclimated with the team as he replaces Jim Chaney, who left for Georgia last season. Canada will have to figure out how to fill the void of wide receiver Tyler Boyd, who was drafted by Cincinnati in April. Some of the wide receivers in the mix to step up are Dantes Ford, Zach Chollingsworth, Jester Way, and Quadre Henderson. But replacing one of the NCAA's most productive wide receivers is not a simple task. Defensively, Pitt is projected to be better than it was. In 2015, the Panthers ranked 37th in total defense as they allowed almost 6 yards per play on average and gave up 38 total touchdowns. Expect to see defensive end Ewan Price's elite pass rushing skills on display, along with defensive end Rory Blair and defensive tackle Tyreek Jarrett joining him on the line. Looking at the schedule, Narduzzi wants to see how his team stacks up in the ACC.
Obviously, we're all looking forward to that September game when we open up against Villanova, I should say. We're excited about that game, and that's where it all starts. And then we'll just take one game at a time. But with this season, coming upon us, we're going to find out really where we are as a football team. We got some, great games in the ACC, and we're going to really find out, everything's measured, okay? They're going to measure your wins and losses. They're going to measure the height and weight of these guys. But we're going to find out as a football team how we measure up in the ACC.
Following the game against Nova, Pitt will take on in-state rival Penn State at home on September 10th. Then they'll dive into their ACC opponents in Week 4, starting with the UNC Tar Heels, who they lost to 26-19 last season. For Sports Talk, I'm Carson Mason.
All right, Carson, thank you very much. Pittsburgh, of course, coming to Clemson late in the season, and Tigers could be making their plans at that point for getting to the ACC championship game, maybe wrapping up an undefeated regular season with South Carolina around the corner. Moving on to the playoffs, we shall see. Have you voted this week in our weekly poll question on SportsTalkSC.com? Who do you want USC to start at quarterback versus Vandy? Do you want Perry Orth? Do you want Brandon McElwain? Do you want Jake Bentley? Right now, it is an absolute dead heat. 43.14% for Orth, 43.14% for McElwain, 13.7% for Bentley. Jarmart, you may have to cast a deciding vote here if this thing isn't broken at some point.
I've got a deciding vote to cast too. So if you ever need it, I'll put my finger on the clicker button, waiting for these people to make the final decision.
Well, both are going to play. All three could play, but certainly, both are going to play. And my hunch is, since it's so close between the two, and K-Mac made this point early in camp, maybe back even before camp started. If it's close between the two, it makes sense to start Orth on the road, SEC game. He is the one that has some experience. He is the one who's been under the lights. He has started games at College Station. He has started games at LSU. He started against Clemson. So he's been in some big games, and it might be best to start him, and you hope things go well, and then you bring in McElwain just in the flow of the game to give the offense another look, a guy with a different rhythm to him, a different type of game. You just hope, if you start Orth, you just hope you're not bringing McElwain in under one of these two conditions: A, an injury, and B, a terrible start. Because, if Orth gets off to a bad start, throws a couple of picks, Vanderbilt converts those into scores, you're down 14-0, and now you feel you need to make the change to put the true freshman in there to rally you. That's not the scenario you want to face.
I don't think that's a scenario where you put McElwain in at all anyways. I think
really?
I think it's one of those to where, you got to make sure that Orth stays, he stays in there, because if you have to give him a chance to either make up for his mistakes or just say that, this quarterback decision is final. Orth, you couldn't cut it against Vandy. Next start, we're going to McElwain. Bring him out maybe late in the game after everyone knows that the game is done, it's out of reach, and then introduce them that way. And then you don't have to play this flip-flop game. You've got a decision, and you can run with it at that point.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. You wonder if it might be better to start McElwain, even though he's a true freshman, even though, he's on the road in an SEC game. Is it better to start him? And if he indeed does struggle a little bit, then you've got the veteran, more seasoned guy ready to come in and kind of settle things down and try and pick things back up based on his experience. I don't know. You could flip a coin, I guess. Either way, you could be right, you could be wrong. We're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out. But, I think Orth, the thing with Orth, and I think the reason that people who doubt Orth doubt him, it's not because of his effort or anything like that. I think everybody admires the effort and the fact that this was a guy that was putting up groceries in a grocery store up on shelves before, walking on at South Carolina and getting a shot. But they remember the bad mistakes that cost potential wins. They remember open receivers in the end zone. The Gamecocks did not have a very good season in the red zone, getting touchdowns, and there were opportunities to score touchdowns. But Orth, in particular, missed open receivers in the end zone, and they had to settle for field goal attempts. And so they remember those things. But, last year he was a 55% passer, almost 2,000 yards, 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Not great, but for a guy who's a walk-on transfer who was basically almost out of football, facing SEC competition, it tells you that he's got the talent, he's got the ability, and this time around, he should be more settled in. But I'll say this too, to flip it back the other direction, you have to be concerned that this guy Orth didn't blow away these freshmen in camp and win this job going away. If the coaches are being straightforward about the fact that they haven't decided yet. Yeah, if it's close competition, why hasn't the senior, the more veteran guy just blown these guys away based on his experience? All right, we'll be right back. More sports talk in a moment. We are back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornblut here in Charleston. Palmetto Pigskin Tour stop for tonight. Heading up the coast, heading north up the coast tonight to Myrtle Beach. Conway will be at Coastal Carolina for the program tomorrow night with the Chanticleers. Looking forward to being with Coach Joe Moglia and company tomorrow night at Coastal Carolina, getting the latest from them. A lot of things going on around that football program and that university, of course. So make sure you're with us tomorrow night here on Sports Talk. Hey, relax on and off the field with Founders Federal Credit Union. Located in the heart of Gamecock Country, Founders Russell House location is available to help you with all your financial needs. Plus, they have a cash and check accepting ATM located at ATM Row behind the Russell House. Visit RelaxJoinFounders.com to see if you qualify for membership. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA. All right, the Panthers, they're getting ready for their next exhibition game. They're 1-1 in preseason play. The big boys are coming to town. New England on Friday night. Usually the third game of the exhibition season is the one that is most like a regular season game. You get a lot of the regulars starting and playing deep into this one, the one chance for them to kind of play together and get some good game video of them. Coach Ron Rivera earlier today talking about his team getting ready for the Patriots and progress here in the preseason.
I love what Coach Belichick said. It's a complete world apart. It really is. Because you can't. One thing you can't do is you can't emulate the atmosphere, the intensity level, and quite honestly, even though you do game plan, you do game plan everything.
Curious. Seem to have an active day out there today. Where's his growth been?
His growth has been really good in his route running. I think he relied on his great athletic ability, his natural skills as a receiver when he was in the college level. But now in the league, you've got to be more precise and a better route runner. Your timing has to be so much more, and he's done that. And you can see the development and growth. I mean, he's a ways away from being a guy that can go out there and make a lot of things happen for you. But right now, where he is kind of reminds me where Funches was a year ago. Still learning, still trying to get an understanding and feel for it. And like I said, he's a young guy that looks like he might have a good future.
When you say ways away, what are some of those things?
I guess just understanding the whole concepts of what we do more so than anything else, and what his particular role would be based on the position he's in, whether it is the Z, the X, or the F.
What are you guys preparing for Brady?
Well, no, I mean, Jonathan, we're really preparing for them. What they do more so than anything else. Again, if this was a regular season game, yes, you'd be preparing for Brady, specifically what they do with Tom in the game. So, whether he plays or not, I think is inconsequential in terms of this game. This is to a degree the dress rehearsal, but for the most part, we're going out, we're going to do what we do, and we've looked at what they've done in the preseason, and that's what we're game planning, I guess.
And then your first team, how much will you see?
We're going to take them into the third quarter. We'll see how things are going, but we're going to take them into the third quarter.
Young picture stuff. You look at this roster compared to the one you had last year. Is this more talented? Where do you feel like?
We'll see. Steve, to say whether we're more talented right now is unfair because, again, we got to see how those young guys have developed at corner. We got to look at the depth we have at certain positions more so than anything else because, we lost some veteran guys that have moved on or just straight up retired, and we got to see those guys that we've brought in to replace them if they're capable. So to compare them right now would be very unfair.
What's going to be the toughest position for you guys to narrow it down to a set number of guys on this team?
Beat reporter. That's a tough question because, again, as we look at the roster, we like the roster. We think we brought in, guys that competed and still are competing. And we have to cut down to 75 pretty soon, and that's still going to be a tough cut too. So, there really are not guys that you say, well, he has no chance to play or contribute. I mean, just because a guy isn't going to make the 53 doesn't mean he can't contribute one way or the other, or doesn't have a future. So we're going to go through that process and really look at everybody.
Okay, Ron Rivera, looking forward to the game against the Patriots on Friday night. First home game of the preseason for the Panthers coming up on Friday night. Sports Talk presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. Let's give you the high school football report tonight. A service of Farm Bureau Insurance. With new auto insurance rates from Farm Bureau, you could be saving a whole lot of money. Even if you've received a quote before, rates are now more competitive than ever. Today from your local Farm Bureau insurance agent. The first regular season football rankings are out from the writers across the state. In 5A, Dorchester, your number one team, followed by Westside, Dutch Fork, Northwestern, and Spartanburg. Then it's Gaffney, Lexington, Dorman, Boiling Springs, and Burns. In 4A, South Point leads the way, followed by Myrtle Beach, Hartsville, Belton, Honeypath, and a tie between Union County and Ridgeview. Airport is 7th, followed by Marlboro County, Lancaster, and York. 3A, it's Dillon, followed by Woodruff, Fairfield Central, Strom Thurmond, and Newberry. Bluffton and Seneca tied for 6th, followed by Hanahan, Brooklyn, Casey, and Chapman. In 2A, Abbeville is number 1 ahead of Southside Christian, Bamberg, Earhart, Calhoun County, and Batesburg, Leesville. Then it's Allendale, Fairfax, Andrews, Chesterfield, Christchurch, and Cheraw. And finally in 1A, Lamar is your number 1 team, followed by McBee, Lakeview, C.E. Murray, Cross. Then it's Louisville, Wagner, Sally, Williston, Elko, Ridge, Spring, Monetta, and Hunter, Kynard, Tyler. There you go with the rankings for this week. Got a big week, a big Friday night of high school football coming up. And, of course, we'll have it all covered for you here on Sports Talk, previewing things with David Shelton. And, of course, the high school scoreboard shows coming up on Friday night to bring you all the scores from across the state of South Carolina. All right, coming up on the final minutes of the program tonight, we've had a great time here at the Citadel. And thanks to Derek Satterfield and his folks for taking great care of us here at, I want to try it again, Sagina's Hall? Cygnus. I make it harder than necessary. Cygnus Hall here on the Citadel campus. A beautiful place to visit, the Citadel campus. You can just stroll right in and watch the guys do their thing. If you behave yourself, they won't make you walk any tours or anything like that. Oh, by the way, Will Muschamp is doing his first call-in show of the year, just looking at a few of the notes being tweeted out by reporters who are listening. Thought I'd pass some of this along to you while we have a moment. He said Lawrence Bryant has a pretty bad hamstring. He said, though, a mostly injury-free camp. Shamik Blackshear, he said, is ready to make a contribution. He said Alan Knott will be fine despite the hand issue that has limited him in camp. Kyle Markweg, still 50-50. Rico Daddle, still out. Did not mention offensive lineman Zach Bailey, who has missed some time recently, apparently dealing with a concussion, though Muschamp has never said it was a concussion. A lot of confidence in Corey Helms to play center. Can also play both guard spots. Lots of competition, he said, at most OL spots. Let's see. Anything else? Trying to weed through some of the callers' questions here and answers, which usually leads to a bunch of nothing. Muschamp said the drop-off in depth at some positions is very steep, which is why it's essential to keep recruiting. And he said Vandy uses a lot of motions and shifts on offense. Ralph Webb is one of the best running backs in the SEC, so stopping him will be a key. All right, that will do it. We've had a great time here at the Citadel. Tomorrow night from Coastal Carolina, we will come to you with the next stop on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour. Thanks to Jarmart. Thanks to Carcinova for great work back in Columbia. We'll see you tomorrow night from Coastal in Conway. Have a great night. Okay. Let me know when you bang out recruiting, and we'll shut her down. Yankees win. The Yankees win. It's always a good day when the Yankees win. Now some people ahead of us will just lose. Now we're 5 back in the wild card. 800th win for Joe Girardi. The man-child, Gary Sanchez, hit another home run. I tell you, I hope that kid is just not a late summer flare. It's going to have some. Doesn't look like it. Looks like he might be the real deal. Yeah, there's room. Come on board. Oh, sight. Oh, that's. Oh, who can you root for? The Braves? Or are you a Twins fan? Yeah, but I mean, between the Braves and the Twins, your two teams, I mean, combined, they don't have 60 wins. Okay, I've only got one note again. All right, here we go. Here we go. Coming down in 3, 2, 1. Wando receiver Ortre Smith is working on his decision, which is set to be revealed on September 11th. Right now, he and the family are filling out the details of how they're going to. Let's do that again. In 3, 2, 1. Wando receiver Ortre Smith going to announce his decision. Nope. Coming down in 3, 2, 1. Wando receiver Ortre Smith continues to work on his decision and also how he's going to announce it. The family is going to have a event. No. Sometimes it takes me 20 times to do this. Yeah, I've broken my string of one takes. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Wando receiver Ortre Smith is working on his decision. A source said Wednesday the plan is to make the announcement in front of some family, friends, and media in the application in Mount Pleasant. The source says Smith remains undecided at this point, but he is down to just 4 schools now: USC, Clemson, North Carolina, and Georgia. Florida had also been in the mix. Smith ultimately is expected to make his decision between the Gamecocks and Tigers. His mother, of course, played volleyball at Clemson. He's been a Clemson fan for a while, and his family has been strong Clemson supporters, but USC coach Will Muschamp has made him a priority and has recruited him relentlessly since taking over the Gamecocks. Phil Kornblut, South Carolina Radio Network Sports. His family is, family are. His family are, family is. Family is, yeah, family is. Because if it's families, it'd be R. Family is. How long we go? Beautiful. Okay. Oh, I'm going to send you the pictures. I'm not going to forget to do that, so you can put the story up. And the stream, you had the right stream in tonight? Everything was good there? Right stream?